Sure.
A very warm welcome to you, sir, on Tomkit's platform. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, since you are my inspiration since years together. We would like to hear about you from you only.
Thank you, Arti. So, for everybody, my name is Pankaj Chandak. I am currently located here in Southern California, in Los Angeles. And I've been in, let's say, the pharma medtech industry for last 17 plus years. And my journey with healthcare really started long ago. Um, Part of it was also because of my father, who was a physician. He used to practice with, medicine at one point. He doesn't anymore, but that's how I got into this. So that's a brief introduction. I think I can add more as we
So,
go into Q&A.
if I understand, you have set your goals long back since your childhood. Is it so?
Yeah, you can say that. I think the goal was
Because
to do something meaningful, not necessarily, let's say, this or that, but figure out something where you can excel in life with, um, a decent living to make. So, yeah.
so this only I got a very good question that is actually many of my students ask me how to set goals because it's very difficult task for students since we have all buffet of different career options there and put some light on goal setting.
I think the goal setting, to be honest with you, is not something that you can do early on in life when you are in sixth grade, seventh grade, or 10th grade. You can uh, pick a field that you want to be in. I think the biggest goal that I can think of in the hindsight is that you have to make a goal to be best of whatever you do. You can do whatever you like, whichever field you go into. If you say that I'm not going to compromise on the quality of my work, if I'm going to be the best that I can be in that, then that's the goal that one should set up. That's not how I did it, of course, because you don't know growing up that this is the way to go about it. I think the goal at the time for me was that I want to be a working professional, uh, making a difference in the world. Always, I thought that I'll be doing something great that will make a difference in the world. I didn't know what that would be at the time, but that was the generic goal. Something in science, that much I knew, that something with respect to science and technology. So I think if you know broad that whether you have interest in science, arts, commerce, whatever that may be, you can pick that and say, I want to do something here. And then as I learn, I can figure out what that is. But rest be assured, I want to do something that is possibly the best that I can do. And I think that will take you far if you make that I'm not going to compromise on the quality no matter what. So,
Okay, I guess this much is going to help a lot to keep motivate my students and me as well. Like you are not comfortable in Hindi.
हिंदी कुछ नहीं हुआ है वेरी कंफर्टेबल इन हिंदी कैसे होगा when somebody lives in India for 23 years of their life first they can never be uncomfortable in Hindi.
Okay,
Hindi
so I'll
is our
reverse my
first and
question.
foremost language. Yeah.
Okay, I will reverse my question in the other direction as how comfortable you were first when you went to USA because हमारे यहाँ पे बहुत बड़ा mindset है एक बहुत बड़ा हवा है इसका कि being Indian we need to work very hard on our English.
I
So
think
I
the
mean मेरा English अच्छा
people
नहीं तो I'll face very too much difficulty in USA. Is it so or is that I'm accepted there?
I think it's a myth. पहले तो I think people need to realize that Indians have a upper hand when it comes to English. हम लोग ब्रिटिश एजुकेशन सिस्टम में पढ़े हैं, राइट? आई मीन ऑल ऑफ आवर एजुकेशन सिस्टम, एनसीईआरटी और सब कुछ इज फ्रॉम द ब्रिटिश एरा. तो तब से कुछ चेंज नहीं हुआ है. द बिग थिंग दैट people need to realize, and this is probably an information for your students, is
Right.
when you compare Indians to Chinese, Japanese, or other Asian students that are competing with you, or even Europeans, इंडियंस का इंग्लिश बहुत अच्छा होता है. इंडियंस आर वेरी गुड एट इंग्लिश इन जनरल. सो The spoken English may not be there fully. Uh, मेरे केस में I had an advantage because I studied in an English medium school, so I was very comfortable with English to begin with. तो वैसा कोई चैलेंज कभी हुआ नहीं, बट मैं जानता हूँ बहुत सारे मेरे फ्रेंड्स जो मराठी मीडियम या हिंदी मीडियम से पढ़े हुए हैं until 12th and then they went into science and technology. बाद में उन्होंने अपना PhD किया. They did whatever studies they had to do and they are doing phenomenal. So English is not a barrier. Focus on your core skills. Focus on the topic at hand that you're trying to learn. English आपको आ जाएगा along the way. है ना? The way to
So you,
look at English is पढ़ो, go watch English movies, है ना? जाके
hmm.
movies देखो, books पढ़ो. It's easy. अब तो इतने shows है Netflix पे या वहाँ जो people are exposed to in this day and age, तो कोई issue नहीं है as such. But one thing to realize is never lose your confidence because of that. कि English नहीं आता है तो you will be any less. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Our language is perfectly fine. We have an upper hand. People need to realize when it comes to other countries, हमारा English उनसे बेहतर है, and our students have much better time communicating and expressing their view in English than lot of other countries. So
So
mm,
my dear students who all are watching, please mark the word of sir that English is not a barrier. Because बहुत सारे बच्चे
yeah.
इंग्लिश की वजह से कॉन्फिडेंस लूज करते हैं एंड वी आर लुकिंग हियर एंड देयर फॉर इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग कोर्स. हाउ यू रेट दैट और व्हाट इज योर व्यू ऑन दैट?
No, I don't think anybody should go to an English speaking class. There is no need. Basic grammar आपको स्कूल में पढ़ाया जाता है. वो बेसिक ग्रामर पढ़ लो. न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ना शुरू करो. इंग्लिश मूवीज देखो. उसमें थोड़ा एक्शन भी मिलेगा. You'll have some fun, and then you'll learn along the way. So I think be practical about it. Try to read and write or listen to the English. That will help you more. बेसिक ग्रामर पढ़ना जरूरी है. तो अगर बेसिक ग्रामर में आपने स्किप किया है स्कूल में या फिर वो नहीं पढ़ा है, तो दैट इज व्हाट यू शुड गो डू अ क्लास फॉर. स्पीकिंग क्लास मत लगाओ. क्लास लगाओ सो दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड द लैंग्वेज बेटर. बेसिक
So
जो ग्रामर है, जो सेंटेंस कंस्ट्रक्शन है, हाउ यू पुट थिंग्स टुगेदर, व्हाट आर वर्ब्स, व्हाट इज अ पार्टिसिपल एंड दोज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. सो वो सब पढ़ो. बट बोलने के लिए इंग्लिश सीखने की जरूरत नहीं है. उसके लिए बहुत सारा एंटरटेनमेंट है, वो करो. दैट विल बी
so
मोर
thank
फन.
you for sharing this because I guess this statement will boost the confidence of my students who all are on their way of USA. So very first question of mine is what do you find how it makes difference study in India and study in US?
So I think for the viewers, just so
Specifically
that
with
you
pharma.
guys
Okay.
know, yeah. So I did my master's in pharmaceutical sciences. More specifically, my topic of research was outcomes research, patient outcomes research, and this was after I finished my bachelor's in pharmacy from India in Pune University, right? And my current profession is I'm director of regulatory affairs. I work for a medical device company, and I work for mostly large pharma, biotech, and then med devices, med tech. So I think the difference that I see studying in India and studying in the US is application. The the level of application that you see in the US is a lot more. What you study is relevant right away. In India, I think what we study may not be relevant right away. We study a lot of things that are theoretical. Um, we may study a lot more, but the application of that is less. Here, we may study only specific things, but they are, for most part, applied directly in the industry. And the labs and the infrastructure here is equivalent to the infrastructure that you see in the industry. So, a simple example could be you use a micropipette in the lab. You use a digital micropipette, which is very expensive than your manual micropipette that you suck the air out, right? And the same level of equipment is available in the university lab, and it's also there in the industry. So the transfer of skills is uh, a lot better in the US.
Okay. Second question of mine is from a student who is in eighth grade. right now. And I really appreciate Soumya, you for this. And she wanted to know, it's wise to go at undergraduate level, what you call in USA undergraduate, we call in India as a graduation, or to postgraduate.
Again, I think it depends. Why I say it depends is if you are going for science and technology, I I think it will be beneficial if you come even for undergraduate studies, because even the undergraduate, you will see the difference that the amount of infrastructure that is there, the level of opportunities that are available after you finish your undergrad. I think undergraduate education in India is very good, right? I mean, that's what we studied under, and it's very comprehensive. The difference would be that if you are in a field that doesn't necessarily require master's or PhD, then mm, it probably doesn't matter as much, right? If it is a field that requires master's and PhD, then you can do your undergrad there in India and then come do your graduate studies in the US, and it'll be fine. If your field has opportunities right after undergrad, then maybe you want to come and do it here. Again, for people who are interested in arts and maybe something to do with, let's say, filmmaking or something to do with I don't know, design of things, they can come and do undergrad here. There are very good programs that are, um, I think, different than what you see in India. So,
Okay, because nowadays what I see, the question I'm getting from my students or the students who really want, they are fascinated towards the US universities. And many of them, they are not asking me for JW on it, they are asking me for SAT. Okay, how we can go, and that's why I put this question.
one other thing. So, one thing that people should notice, there are a lot of exchange programs that have now uh, come about. So, there is a tie-up between the US university and the Indian university where you can finish 2 years in India and then you come and finish rest of the course here in the US. So, people should look into that also. So, one of the institute is, let's say, Narsim Monji in Mumbai, right?
Okay.
NM. So they
Mhm.
have programs within business that are combination of BBA plus MBA, and
Mhm.
part of it 3 years you can do in India, and rest of the
Right.
2 years you can come and do it in the US. So there are programs like that also, which will be, I think, very good for exposure on both sides.
Yeah, that will be really good. And
I think that's the best way probably for people to go about. I think look at the universities that have some sort of exchange program or some sort of transfer program, and it's not just in the US. There are programs that are there in Europe also with Indian universities, and then you can look at one of those and try to do first couple of years in India, and then the university helps you get there, so it becomes little easy.
okay. And one question is always bothering us as an Indian, the finance. We can manage the tuition fees there, right? I mean, it's not that ambitious students are always there, right? From middle class family as well, upper class and all, a mix. So a question from my student is, what opportunities, learning and earning opportunities are there? Because it's there in Canada
Oh
and
yeah,
other few
so
countries.
I think there are definitely a lot of opportunities for on-campus jobs that are there, or off-campus jobs that people do here. I mean, you see always people who are in college. When we say college, that's undergraduate college. They work in Starbucks, or they can work in, I don't know, Burger King or whatever. They can work in the computer lab in the university itself. They can do off-campus work. I used to work in a pharmacy when I was studying for my master's. So there are opportunities like that. Um, I think enough. It's just that you need to make sure that the balance is there, meaning you
Hmm.
work on the weekends and evening, and you can still continue your studies uh, depending on what line you are in. There are certain programs that may not allow that much time for you to do uh, off-campus work, and there you have to fund the whole thing. But there is also, of course, people know this is, there are loans available for good schools, and you can avail those also. So,
Okay. With this, we of course want to know more about you, your lifestyle there, and what you like most about USA. Apart from studies, apart from career, what all must be going on around USA? What do you feel?
I think the quality of life here is definitely, mm, I want to say, mm, depends on what you like, right? I mean, I live in Southern California, so where I live, it's a mix of best of both worlds, I can say. There is enough industry here. So, I live in Orange County, in south of LA. It's between Los Angeles and San Diego. So, the weather is pretty nice all year around. There is sun almost 10, 11 months. The beach is very close by. If you like going skiing in the mountains, then that's close by. Hiking is right away, right here. So uh, I think the outdoors in the US is a lot more fun. People like to be active. They want to. The infrastructure is very good for somebody who likes sports like tennis or I don't know, racquetball or
Okay.
pickleball or other things. So it's very readily available that you can, have courts that are community courts that are available here. So that's the part that I enjoy the most, that outdoors are so much fun. Mm.
We can visualize कि सैटरडे संडे बहुत मस्ती होता है यूएस में. To what extent it is true?
It is very true. I mean, there is a huge Indian community here. So one other thing that people probably know this now. I mean, the kids these days, they know everything. I mean, coming here 20 years ago, I didn't know as much, but now there is a huge Indian community that is there in uh, all the universities and all big cities that is there. So you have all the Indian cultural festivals that are celebrated, Navratri, Diwali, Garba, whatever, everything is celebrated at equally, uh, probably more so here. And
Okay,
I
sounds
think
good.
the focus is
So
definitely a
कोई
good
बंदा
mix of
अकेला आता
balance.
है, so it's
Mm.
like कि he will get support there from Indian city. Is it so? कि कोई फ्रेंड्स नहीं
Yeah,
है,
yeah.
का नहीं है, बट यूनिवर्सिटी में आ गए एंड बहुत होमली फील हो रहा है, बहुत लोनली फील हो रहा है, सो ही कैन कंसिडर कि कोई है इंडियन वहां पे who can help out them.
There,
Is it?
oh yeah, there are a lot of Indian people. So I don't think that anybody runs
And they are
into
easily
any
reachable.
problem. They are your university folks. They are your friends. I mean, you get on to the social media platforms for given universities, and they will give you um the the groups that are formed on WhatsApp or email chains and all that. So before you come here, you will have lots of people that you already know, and a huge Indian community in all mm, schools.
Sounds good. So one can think of that way कि हम यहाँ से relax है because I'm already having friends there. I can, if I can say like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Now coming to the very important part is जिसके लिए मेरे को बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन आए हैं about visa. Because यूएसए वीजा मिल रहा है, नहीं मिल रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, ये बहुत लॉट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन है लोगों. स्टिल देयर आर साइट, स्टिल देयर इज गाइडेंस, बट अभी भी बहुत सारा लैक ऑफ नॉलेज है जहाँ लोगों को लिटरली बच्चों को क्लियर नहीं है कि पढ़ लेंगे उसके बाद क्या होगा, पहले तो वीजा कैसे मिलेगा, फिर स्टूडेंट वीजा से हम वर्क वीजा में कैसे कन्वर्ट होंगे, ड्यूरिंग दैट पीरियड हम क्या करेंगे. सो प्लीज गाइड अस ऑन दैट.
So I think whenever you come and apply to a university, अगर आप accept होते हो तो the first document that you get is something called as I-20. I-20 is the admission acceptance letter that you get, and based on that I-20, you apply for a visa, which is student visa, that is F1. Once you, let's say, secure the F1 visa, then you will study on the F1 visa for whatever duration you are here. As a result of that, you will get something called as OPT, which is work permit to do internships in different programs. Will have different level, meaning different time bound. So for science and technology, typically you get a work permit or OPT for about 27 months. So that's more than 2 years that you can work on that. And then during that time, you apply for H1, which is the work visa, and you get converted. Some other fields in commerce or arts will have it less, maybe a year of work permit. But that is the time when once you graduate, then you will look for opportunities, and then you will convert that visa into an H1, which is a work visa. And that after that, it follows the H1 can be renewed every 3 years. Again, the visa sponsorship is more easy, readily available for science and technology related fields. In let's say fields that are administration or commerce, it is a little bit difficult because it's hard to justify for companies that kind of skill set. But anything that is a niche area, it's rather available for people. I mean, IT is a huge section for technology where people come in for work visas. So,
Okay. So, what percentage of students get that H1 visa? Is it so कहीं ऐसा होता है कि H1 visa किसी को नहीं मिला और reject हो गया and he need to come back to India? I mean, is
होता
there?
है, ऐसा भी होता है या सो H1 का लिमिट है. देर आर नंबर ऑफ visas that are issued every year. So 65,000 visas are issued. 20,000 visas are reserved for people who do masters here, graduate studies. So if you do a
Okay.
masters here, whether it's MS or whatever, then that will get you in that reserved 20,000 quota. And then the general quota is typically 65,000 visas that are issued. So yeah, I mean, there are typically applications that are 2-3 times of this. So अगर 65,000 का लिमिट है तो जनरली 1.5-2 लाख एप्लीकेशंस आते हैं, तो एक को मिलता है, दो को नहीं मिलेगा. तो
Any tips you
दैट्स
have
देयर है.
for that? One can think of that. I mean, अगर किसी को preparation, pre-preparation करना है कि नहीं मुझे, I mean, anyhow I need that. So,
वो तो लॉटरी सिस्टम होता है, सो देयर इज नॉट नथिंग यू कैन डू अबाउट इट.
okay,
इफ यू अप्लाई थ्रू generally bigger good companies, the experience is that they do get selected, but all of this is lottery based. So
okay,
I don't think again, if you're studying, don't worry about the visa too much. आप जो प्रोग्राम करना चाहते हो उस पे रिसर्च करो. वो प्रोग्राम में क्या बेनिफिट आपको मिलेगा, क्या पढ़ने मिलेगा, व्हाट इज द टाइप ऑफ लर्निंग यू विल डू. I think you should worry about that more. Uh,
okay,
Work permit gradually, you will get it if the program is good, the school is good, you're doing the best in your field, then I think visa won't be a problem. So,
okay. Related to this, one more question is कि after undergraduate there or after you say the graduate
mm.
campus selection. What about campus selection? Because in India, it's a big system, campus selection. All big universities, they have it.
Yeah. So usually campus selection is not that big here, except for let's say MBA or commerce field. I think if you're going for um, finance, which is, let's say, going into investment banking or MBA into administration, then there is lot of campus selection. But otherwise, I think usually once you finish the program, you will do internship, and then
Hmm.
through that internship will be your first exposure into the industry, and then you will apply to the jobs online, and the application and the number of people applying is not as high as you see in India. So there is, you know, I want to say there is a fair bit of a chance that you have. So but हाँ, यहाँ पर the scene of campus selection is not as big.
Okay. But one can get it after the internship, right? The chances are pretty
Right,
good.
right. The job opportunities are more. The
Hmm.
number of applicants versus the ratio of applicant to the number of open positions that are there is more favorable than what you see, of course, in India. So,
Okay. And since you mentioned that you worked in pharmacy there, right? For a period of time.
yeah,
So,
when I was
and
doing my
you also
master's.
being an Indian, you also might be knowing the pharmacy system here in India, right?
Right,
So,
yeah.
what's the difference there? Is it same कि वहाँ पे भी like pharmacist होते हैं and prescription आता है and we give the medicine, or is there any difference?
There
Just
is
for a curious.
difference where there is a lot more responsibility on the pharmacist here because you have to make sure that one, the prescription is correct. So a lot of times pharmacy में यहाँ पर the time is spent on making sure the prescription is right with the right dosage. So a lot of times when you get a prescription, you call the doctor to say, hey, you know what, this what you have prescribed, there is a correction to this dosage. And
Mhm.
then they will say, okay, yeah, or there is sometimes information that you provide. There is a new drug that came up, and you have to calculate the dosage and provide some information to them. There is all of this is computer based, and you look at the profile of the patient and you look for contraindications. If somebody is taking a drug and it is contraindicated with something else, then you will inform them. That is your responsibility to check for those. That you will have the patient profile and you're checking if they are taking something that is contraindicated for another prescription that they are already taking. Um,
That means
Compounding
you
creation
need to
is
be
less
more
now.
attentive
Yeah.
there as a
Yeah,
pharmacist.
there is, yeah, as a pharmacist, there is a lot of responsibility. I mean, people look to you for counseling also. So there is mandatory requirement for counseling there. It doesn't happen as much because once people are comfortable with one drug, they don't need the counseling. But first time around, when they are taking a new medicine, then it is your responsibility to go and counsel the patient, and the patient will come and listen to you. There is no prescription medicines available without a prescription here, so that's there. You can't just go get an antibiotic. कि इंडिया में जैसे होता है कि
No
अरे यार
OTC
ये ले
system
लो.
is there over the counter.
OTC is there, yeah, yeah, OTC is there, but that is for general common ailments like cough, cold, and whatever, painkillers and all that. But there is a lot more emphasis on the safety and accuracy of medicine delivery.
One more related to that is that you are a registered pharmacist there. I mean, जो इंडिया में होता है कि we
No,
need to register. Is it no? No
I am
system
not.
like
No, no. No, there is a system, but I am not a registered pharmacist there.
so it is not
I worked
mandatory.
in retail. It is mandatory. So there you have to register with the uh, federal authorities, and you have to also register with the state that you're practicing in, and you have to maintain that. There is continuing education credits that you have to take, and you have to attend those trainings every year or every couple of years. So you have to maintain your registration and license as a pharmacist. So you have to be a licensed pharmacist to practice.
Okay.
My exposure to retail was when I was doing it as part of a part-time job off campus,
Mhm.
and helping the pharmacist leading some of these things. But there is a huge processing of insurance payment also. So you have to know and uh, uh, kind of also be good with sort of computers, meaning you're able to process the claim in the background while you are knowing the reimbursement part of it. So there are uh, things that you will encounter that are different in the US in pharmacy versus India. So.
One more question is that what a student can expect to explore apart from studies while in the universities.
I mean, the university has a lot of infrastructure, sports that has, usually all the universities have very good gym. Um, there is a lot of sports activities, cultural activities. There are these student bodies that you can participate in different, you know, mm, let's say on campus or off campus things. So, I mean, it's a place which is full of energy and activity. So, yeah, university is
So
most
parallelly
enjoyable.
हम दोनों चीजें enjoy कर सकते हैं, right? And how is that you have English friends there, and how they are comfortable with Indians, or you as an Indian initial days, you were comfortable with English
People are
people?
very welcoming here. That's one thing which is different about US, and I think again that people probably know or don't know is people here in the US, unlike what you hear uh, recently, right? Because of, let's say, things that have happened politically with Donald Trump being the president, or some people thinking कि अरे यार इंडियंस को यहाँ पर हार्ड टाइम फेस करना पड़ रहा
Right.
है या डिस्क्रिमिनेशन फेस करना पड़ रहा है. तो मेजॉरिटी ऑफ के सेक्टर में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. द अमेरिकन पीपल आर वेरी ओपन माइंडेड. वो काफी खुले दिल से तुमसे बात करेंगे. दे विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड योर कल्चर. देयर इज अ ह्यूज रिस्पेक्ट फॉर Indian professionals here जो in last 20 years that have been achieved. इतने सारे बड़े companies के CEO हैं हमारे Indians. If you look at Google, Microsoft, or a lot of other big companies, तो that helps. There are a lot of people like me who are working here and they have done well, phenomenally well in terms of their professional journey. तो लोग बहुत एक्सेप्टिंग हैं, लोग जजमेंटल नहीं है बिल्कुल भी। तो दे डोंट लुक एट यू कि तुम्हारा स्किन कलर डिफरेंट है और तुम्हारा यू नो यू स्पीक अ थिकर एक्सेंट, वो सब से लोग आर आर प्रोबेबली मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन यू एज अ पर्सन, कि तुम्हारी सोच क्या है, तुम क्या करना चाहते हो, तुम कैसे आए हो, या हाउ इज योर फैमिली व्हाट। सो आई थिंक बीइंग जेन्युइन, बीइंग ट्रू, दैट हेल्प्स यू। दैट्स हाउ दीज पीपल आर आल्सो बहुत ओपन है। आप भी वैसा ही रहो एंड आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज एनी जजमेंट अबाउट एनीथिंग दैट आई वांट टू से meritocracy is here, right? कि तुम्हारी the merit of your idea, the merit of what you bring to the table matters more than तुम कौन हो, कहाँ से हो। To a lot of degree, अगर meritocracy कहीं पर है, ज़्यादा true है, तो that will be the US, कि जहाँ पर there won't be discrimination based on uh, तुम कहाँ से हो। तो I want to say yeah, if there will be the equal amount of respect and say whatever you have for the same position
Okay. And
there.
in terms of pure pharma, I mean, there are many people who are looking very hopefully with this interview that you will guide them. So, if hardcore pharma people, right, and they want to take their journey in USA, so I mean, recently, what all the development there and these days, not in the past, maybe in another 5, 10 years, how one can look at career in pharma in USA, how you can guide them, I mean the industry
I
and all.
think there is a lot of opportunities because a lot of research is happening here, and that has been the case, right? Last 20, 30, 40 years, all of the innovation has happened in the US. So यहाँ पर whether you look at small molecule or large molecule or process engineering within pharma, uh, all of the biotech research that has happened. You have seen what happened recently with vaccines, right? Companies like Moderna doing mRNA research that it was the record breaking, right? You got a vaccine out in 12 months from start to end within less than 18 months period. So that's unheard of. A vaccine that has gone through all the clinical trials and everything, and now millions of people are using it. So things like that are there. I think um, opportunity wise, yeah. I mean, career wise for pharma, this probably uh, there is always the need. There is for a lot of unmet um, diseases that still need cure. So there is always need for the research that is there. The difference is the practical research that become a commercial product happens here more than any other country. So that gives you an idea of how much opportunity that is there.
Okay. And what is the other gateway to get entry into USA apart from
What do you
study?
mean?
I mean, if I don't want to go for MS or undergraduate there, but I'm looking कि US जाके मुझे कुछ करना है, मुझे job करना है. So is
You can apply to the companies. If you have a skill that is required, you can apply and you, if the company accepts, you can get an H1 or whatever. But I mean, regulatory affairs hai, ya, even core research है, a lot of people do that where they वहाँ काम करेंगे थोड़े साल और then they feel like कि they want to try uh, working in a different country. तो आपके credentials are still valid as long as जो स्किल सेट है उसके लिए डिमांड है यहाँ पर। विद इन फार्मा इज द सेम थिंग। अगर आपने फार्मा में वहाँ पर, द प्रॉब्लम इज इन रिसर्च वहाँ और यहाँ की इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और सेटअप में काफी डिफरेंस होगा। बट अगर आप इफ यू आर इन वन ऑफ दोज फील्ड वेयर क्लिनिकल रिसर्च, आजकल इंडिया में क्लिनिकल ट्रायल मैनेजमेंट और वो सब बहुत होता है, तो दोज काइंड ऑफ जॉब्स आर ऑल्सो हियर। आई थिंक रेगुलेटरी अफेयर्स इज अनदर फील्ड विच पीपल कैन look at and try to transfer their skills. So there are opportunities like that, but I think it's all skill and need based, right?
And since you are in the capacity of director there, any chances that you can have some job opportunities there? I mean, just a bonus if you can, if you know, or if somehow you can post, or my students or the viewers can reach you through your LinkedIn profile. I mean, do
I think if I have a job opening that is there, I typically post it on LinkedIn to say, hey, I'm hiring, or my team is hiring. And so
okay,
if you see something like that, then yeah, reach out. And if I can help you, if you have the right profile, then we can have a discussion. But yeah, I don't have anything right now that I can publicize to say, hey, I'm looking for this role.
okay,
Okay, Abdi. Thank you. Bye bye.
yeah.